Welcome. Wow. Welcome to your astrological natal to the chart forecast, the deluxe version. This is the Peace Dealer, and I hope you gain the utmost of quality from this report. And I will say right off the bat, I'm definitely very, very interested, or rather, not interested is not the word, amazed at your natal chart. I've usually raved a lot more. I usually rave about certain charts that are born after like 95, but I can definitely tell from experience the zodiac and astrology of the 1960s and even the 70s, but really more the 1960s is just fascinating beyond belief. And to see that you personally not only are born 69, but harness the extent and core of this generational energy is not only profound, but as we'll get into, the central core of who you are and how you operate. Even more amazingly, when we take into account the nature of your soul, which has Saturn directly on it. And as such, even though your sun is about 25 degrees away from Neptune, it's still going to count, in my opinion, as a conjunction, which now, without a doubt, makes you an alien. I would say more mainstream and specifically a Saturn vessel alien. However, we are going to add Neptunian power alien as well. And I just kind of want to more so or less illustrate that having both of these is not only like the textbook definition of supernatural ability, but it allows you to tap into the core of the generational, intuitive, and psychic energy that the rest of the 1960s generation harnesses. So let's say that in order to tap into that, to the intuition in that generation, they'd have to tap into Neptune in Pisces, Neptune in Scorpio, and also the Pluto in Virgo. You are directly aware, okay, of that core source, let's say, which is also, mastered, being that you're born at the end of 1969 or the 1960s, and we're seeing this is around the time Neptune shifts into Sagittarius and Pluto shifts into Libra. The 1960s features Uranus and Pluto in Virgo, and so we see this shift accordingly out of Virgo, okay, and into Libra. So yeah, mainly what I wanted to speak on is you having your moon on Saturn. I actually have and not just your moon being on Saturn. Your moon and Saturn are 1 degree apart. And I can directly relate to this because my moon and Saturn are 1 degree apart. In fact, in Capricorn. Other than Jupiter, which you also have 1 degree apart, that is really the because in my chart I also have Jupiter, but next to Chiron. This is the only other aspect that you have 1 degree away from a planet, and that is not only extremely significant. What this seeks to do is bless you and grant you an internal sense of authority and control. And this internal sense of authority is not only super key, but I'll get into very powerfully explaining why this is the most important part of your chart. Especially given our Saturn returns that fully step us into our power. And seeing that once again, you were born on a full moon, and opposite this, we have Neptune here. Noun provides your soul to be an anchor and base in order to be aware of these supernaturally intuitive vibrations. I say supernatural because once you put Neptune in a God conscious sign, or once you put Neptune in a pure sign like Scorpio, it produces supernatural quality from Scorpio, Sag, Cap, Aqua, and Pisces, which is key because now Neptune is on your north node, 20 degrees retrograding as we speak. And if we also look at, and I'm going to actually pull up this alien construct article so that I can share this with you when I send it. If we also look at the mythology of Saturn, okay, itself, why this is very relevant is Saturn in a lot of mythologies represents the king of the gods. Saturn represents the Titan king in Roman mythology as well. And seeing that Saturn is pretty much within you is very reminiscent of you having an inner god within. Taurus may now strengthen the quality of this while toning down the power, which isn't bad. Actually, this is even more important because we know that the moon is exalted in Taurus. So now the quality of the moon adds to the strengthened quality of Saturn that you're a vessel for. And unfortunately, I don't know if I can express with words just how important and significant this is, but this is definitive scientific proof without a shadow of a doubt that you literally have all the resources you need inside your soul. And not just that, but it's definitely something that, since the planet Uranus is transiting, and Saturn en route coming back to your Saturn for the return, this is in essence actually awakening and innovating this soul strength. Okay. And so, leading into the North Node, coming into Taurus over the next year, your Saturn returning, and then after the retrograde at the end of 2020, Mars is gonna go. Mars is gonna go through here. And this is what's gonna really seek to, over the next year, activate your soul. So, which I mean, coming into the next return, this is definitely going to return your power full time. So, what's so very important is everything about Taurus is slow moving. And before I really get to that part, you do have internal authority. Like Saturn, and in fact, I would like to share another article with you. It's a superpower, inner God, the ability to possess a symbolic entity of infinite power and knowledge within you, which we could say is represented somewhat by Saturn. This is something that, once again, Uranus is getting ready to innovate and bring out the more unconventional supernatural dynamics of an ability like this. Okay. It's definitely really, really remarkable. As someone who has this in Capricorn, seeing that you have this with your moon exalted in Taurus is one thing. But now seeing that this is a part of a full moon cycle where, as a Scorpio sun, your Taurus moon completes this cycle by granting you an exalted vessel of physical strength. This makes you a soul queen and spirit queen, because Scorpio and Taurus are both royalty. And as a Cap rising, you're a cardinal bishop. Mars is exalted. We see you like them exaltations here. You also got Mars exalted in Capricorn. And so it gives you this military general vibe and personality, because Mars is determined and focused, which you'll get into. But the opposition between your sun and your moon anchor so strong. I need you to understand, you have one of the strongest souls in existence. I keep saying the world, but I figure that if you have this here, it does apply to other places in the universe. But it's so very important, because to own up to this strength means that you must also own up to this responsibility, because the sole authority you have is ridiculous. And to put this in context, it may not necessarily be as advanced and powerful as people born in the 90s, or because each generation inherits the generation before, and the younger you are, the more capable and potential and strong you are. But the older you are, the more experience you have. So you have developed since 1969 a mastery of supernatural ability or enhanced abilities, or we don't have to bring superpowers into this. Just you've developed, gained experience and maturity in ways that, people who are younger, they might have higher power, but they have not developed the experience of it yet. And outside of that, your own personal specific power rivals the strength of people, born in the 90s and beyond. And a lot of that is based on the base Taurus of your soul strength and power. So this opposition that you possess enables you, once again, not only to complete this cycle relative to this transit and in your chart, giving you the vibration of natural purity, okay, where you're producing, pure psychological wisdom. This also could be the vibration of natural wisdom or solid wisdom, okay. Not only do you have that cycle completed, the psychological awareness or the pure spirit, Scorpio sun, that allows you with Neptune to literally see into the pathology of other people, to see into the dreams, to see into, Neptune on sun, you can ascend, you can hypnotize people, but we want to put the filter of Neptune over your awareness, and this is going to show you through the veil. Scorpio's piercing stinger is going to show you through the veil as it portrays psychological facets of people that are unconscious to them. This aspect has you see it. First of all, Scorpio alone can already see this. And then you have Pluto and Scorpio born in the 90s who have X-ray with this. So when we look at Neptune isn't as intense as Pluto, but Neptune is going to show you the pathologies and the unconscious psychology that constitutes an individual's intent. It's just, this is an irrational energy. It's not logical. It borrows on some type of logic, but given that this is more deeply emotional, this may be sometimes too intense and too deeply, like I said, emotional to really ground. Thank Jesus that your moon is in Taurus, because now not only can you go as deep as you want to, you have this infinite sense of stamina and grounding to plant your 2 feet on the ground. Think of Saturn as an anchor so that you can go as deep as you need to go and really get to the bottom of the pure communities, since we see this in the 11th, that you have. It is rare to have your MC in the 11th house or in the sign of the 11th. So I'm going to talk about that too, because this effectively makes you a community leader of some sorts. But once again, I think the most important thing, if there's anything that you get from this reading, if you don't get anything from this reading, then you need to get a refund, because that's a waste of your money. But if you don't get anything from this reading, but get one thing, okay, you have, and I'm sure you've always felt this, but you have internal soul authority. And so what that means is, whenever you feel anything, whenever you want to decide on something, whenever you want to do something, you must feel inside what's the truth. All right. And this is so key. This took me a while to really trust. I don't think for you it's an issue of trust, because as a Scorpio sun, you're going to be aware of your soul energy as it holds space for other people, because Taurus is the 7th house of Scorpio. So this is going to be you just holding other people to accountability and integrity concerning their values, because you can literally feel other people and their body language. You can feel sensually and physically the energy emitting from their aura and their body, which everything I just said sounds crazy, but you can actually do that, which would be weird until we recognize you're not really human. You're an alien or you have an alien construct. Welcome to the family. But once again, like in the 5th house, this is not really going to be an issue of trust. Like, you're so solid. I don't think you really needed a miracle to realize this, because you're super strong, like Jesus Christ. So this inner authority means that whenever you decide to do something, especially when it comes to the quality of values you have, you go inside first and you consult Saturn. And Saturn is you. It's your moon. It's blended. It's like the rock of eternity. You go within and you confer that internal authority. And then you map around everything. And let me use an example. Let's say you are researching about ducks and apples. You're not going to go on Google first. You're going to go within. You're not going to go to the foremost expert on ducks and see what they say. Quack. You're going to go within your soul and you're going to ask yourself, what is up with ducks? And based on what you feel inside, that's when you go to Google or any search engine or the foremost authority, and then you research about ducks based on what you feel about it. This is an attainment. Not everyone has this. Actually, it's super rare. Actually, it's astronomically rare to have this aspect, Moon on Saturn, which furthermore speaks to the precision with which you're a master, clearly, and obviously strong, okay? But super strong. But this is what's going to ground this authority to where you kind of form your reality based off of what you pick up inside. And that in and of itself is pretty controversial until you realize that, you know, this construct within you is one of the most powerful energy constructs and beings in the solar system. Other than that, if we look at the other end of this, as a Capricorn rising with Mars that's next to your AC, this is definitely going to constitute a very important level of actionability, determination, and discipline. My Mars is in Aries. It rules Aries. It's also reckless. It's also really reckless. So like before, and I'm not blaming this aspect for it, this is just how I use it. But before I can think about what I'm going to do as a Gemini, and before I can, you know, stop myself from doing it with my Capricorn energy to hold Aries as a leash, I already did it. Because Aries is the first energy. Blah. You have Mars in its exaltation. And so this is Mars that's not reckless, but super disciplined and super powerful. And so you're harnessing the strength charged up with strategic organizational power that enables you to take action at just the right time. Mars in Aries is all about instinctual, impactful action. Mars in Capricorn is all about strategic, organized, and well-timed action, which makes it superior. And seeing that this is linked to your AC and personality suggests that you have a bit of a militant personality. Doesn't mean that you have to ever have been in the army, although that would be interesting if you were, or if you were around or raised by someone like that. It just means that you're in your personality, you're very assertive. I wouldn't even say passive aggressively. You're just very assertive. You're grounded. Mars is the god of war here. So I'm having a vision of you being this army war general, who is, you know, who's a soul queen and pure spirit queen as well. Honoring the royal nature of your fixed signs. And especially because we see Mars mastered here at 22 degrees. This speaks to the incredible action that you take, which constitutes and defines your character. And so it's very important to see Mars very instrumentally as a key component to harnessing your identity. For example, I have Mercury on my rising, the magician. So much of how I express my personality is through communication. Hence, as a Gemini, why, you know, I'm always talking. I'm always communicating with my hands. And this mastery of communication very much so defines my character. Let's take this a step deeper now. And this is something that is giving me chills because I only recently learned this technique I'm about to do. And now that I'm applying it to charts, I'm starting to see 3 times in a row. The last 3 alien constructs with Saturn on the moon, you, I, and a couple other people, we share what I'm about to share with you. And trust me when I say this is rare. This is only this is only proof that, like, You incarnated with this very incredible soul power that very well controlled and timed the circumstances of your birth before you were born, which is almost terrifying to consider, but also super badass and amazing because you are amazing. So, if we look at your AC, okay, your ascendant is in the second decan. The ruler of your entire chart is, are you ready? Drum roll, please. Saturn, because you're Capricorn rising. Your soul, the ruler of your entire chart, is on your soul. So that means if certain planets had jurisdiction, if we look at like the ruler of your 7th house, which is the moon, ironically, next to Saturn, and we're going to get into planet rulers. The 7th house would suggest that you hold space in Cancer for people to be sincere with you, as you're the force of integrity that mirrors this out through sincerity, because someone who has integrity are going to be sincere to others about their feelings. Cool. Well, any affairs in the 7th house, right? Just like Las Vegas police does not have jurisdiction outside of certain, places in Vegas. The moon has jurisdiction of your 7th house. So whatever happens in partnerships has to really be signed off by the moon. Basically, how you feel. How you feel and the comfort zone around others is going to very, very, very much impact how open you are to others. And now we see this is directly influenced by Saturn here, which is going to denote that you're very, very highly discerning and super psychic concerning this. That's just an example. Does the moon really have to sign off on a document to affirm things? Yes, because it's on Saturn. And so we see that your soul is all about that business. But what's very important to denote here is that we see a clear link, okay? Even though the moon rules your 7th house, and then we see the sun rules your 8th, because Saturn rules your whole chart as the ascendant. Like as a Scorpio sun, Scorpio's ruler is Pluto. But as a Capricorn rising, Saturn is like the chief of your chart. As a Taurus rising, for me, it's Venus. But what's very key here is that all the other planet rulers have to really, the head boss of your chart here is Saturn. And so it is not a coincidence at all whatsoever that the ruler of your chart is not only next to your soul, if not on it, retrograde. But if we look at the decan of Capricorn rising, it's in the second decan. It's in the second decan ruled by Venus, the Taurus decan. And so we have a clear link from your identity to your soul. And what that means is that your soul and moon, your moon Saturn, is directly tied to your identity. In fact, it is a direct extension of your identity. This lets us know that although you express this internal moon energy and your personality through wisdom as a Scorpio sun, even though you've progressed far into Capricorn by now, you are more your moon sign than your sun sign. Your identity, and see, your identity is very attached to your sun sign because you're all of these points at one. But it's very important to illustrate that everyone is who they are inside their moon, right? But your moon sign is directly connected to your AC, your personality. And this is what is going to have you feel into as a direct expression of your personality through your body language and how you sensually receive this power through your 5 senses is definitely going to key us into what will influence a lot of your personality and your personal decisions. Blah. Another facet of this chart that's definitely important to look into is the Libra square. You have a very, very fascinating and rather super powerful Libra energy in your chart. Before I go into that, though, we see that you're completing a Chiron return. Congratulations. Nothing will ever be the same. It's interesting how this is coinciding not only with the apocalypse, but also with this 28-year, 12-year, and new 248-year cycle that you've kicked off at the same time. Capricorn risings have the most incredible launch this cycle. And you have Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter jumping your Mars, awakening and evolving and mastering your personal power, personal collective power, enabling you to be more of a leader that you're meant to be. And so this is not only launching this year a brand new understanding and awakening of who you are and who you're becoming based on the completion of an old cycle, because you've completed a 12-year and 28-year cycle. This is why you're getting this reading. But it being in a position to occur during your Chiron return speaks to the private sense of assertion and comfort, feeling authentic and original that you're healing. Especially now when we take into account this Libra energy in the 10th house that speaks of the classic altruism and polishing of character that you express out to the world. And if we look at the Capricorn model, by the way, your rising is in the top model deck because it's sub-ruled by Venus, but and also in the goddess Ishtar or Isis is like 10 to 20 degrees Capricorn. So she's also tied to your identity in an direct way. Also, if we think about the Capricorn model of character, Capricorn puts on an image to the world. They put on this sense of having everything together because they're all about integrity, respect, and power. And so the 10th house Libra is that sense of charm or professionalism that they put out there to the world to make it look like they're in, or to make it look like they're in a power couple or with powerful people. But the 4th house is Aries. So that means how they are privately, they're total savages. This is why this is actually a earth sign thing. I'm a Taurus rising, so I kind of have the same thing. Like, when you meet me, I'm very, on YouTube, I get my Gemini up and I talk a lot, but Taurus rising, Cap Moon, I'm actually very chill. But when I'm behind closed doors, I have a Leo 4th house, 12th house Aries. So that when I'm comfortable, this is when I let out, yourself included, our inner fire. And so Chiron here in Aries is healing the comfort zone and the privacy that goes into how comfortable you are expressing inner vulnerabilities, because you may have kept this hidden as a private issue. Chiron here also heals your relationship with family and healing that authenticity that can be expressed. Actually, this doesn't have to be a wound, and this actually aids and augments your Libran energy, because now you can feel this aspect within other people professionally and polish that, help heal that, and bring out someone's classic character. And then in that sense, you're a bit of a transformer. And I like to use the example of fashion makeovers. You can fashion makeover anyone. You can take someone with that Chiron in the 3rd, 4th who may not have confident expressing themselves. Take that raw character, polish that bad boy. Boom. Now they're unrecognizable. which is true to your archetype, is the transformer in Scorpio, and then you help connect them in a collective where they belong. But outside of that, Jupiter, Mercury. First of all, congratulations, you're going through a Jupiter square right now. Jupiter is 18. All this Libra energy squaring Capricorn is representative of breakthrough. Okay, so Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Uranus is, first of all, very rare to have together. And so this mini stellium is going to speak of a mastery of power, an infusion of power with your mind and heart, because your mind is going to now denote how you process information, which in Libra is not only intelligently, but socially, especially in the 10th house, making you very great at public speaking and putting you in a position to really assess the global state of politics and affairs. It doesn't even have to be in a serious way. You just know how to see and speak to this. Venus is now going to, as it rules Libra, add charm and polish and add beauty to your words. Uranus is going to add an unconventional, outside the box genius quality that people may, sometimes you can have a reputation for being crazy, but you're really genius. And you innovate social structures that you become a part of or invest in. However, it's Jupiter here that not only gives you abundance and luck, but really stretches this out accordingly and expands the ability for you to take your career to the next level, express yourself out in the world, develop your reputation, take cardinal actions in relationships with people to the top. This is a very powerful energy. Being that Libra is exalted as the Capricorn rising. So Chiron opposite this is healing how more confidently, as you've completed this return, you can express this classic sense of yourself. And there's this very abundant, lucky, powerful way you have of communicating and talking to people that is not only inspiring, but keys people into their higher potential. We do want to look at Uranus here, though. Uranus on Venus does have the potential to make relationships a bit unstable. It can bring love at first sight through you, or have this project on others through you, because Uranus and Venus is very electric. And so the unconventional mode and dynamic with which you relate with people is outside the box and not really what most people are used to. It's actually one of the best parts about you. It just needs to be, grounded properly, or we'll see, contacts with people, powerfully come through and then not really last. This is further intensified by the Mars square. And so the Libra energy is charming, but the Mars energy is more decisive. And both of these actually have the potential to work really well together. It's very powerful. So the social power you're exerting is also matched by the physical power you're expressing personally. And what's very important about this is sometimes it can represent a tug of war, where sometimes you want to act personally, but then you have obligations out socially for the world. Make sure you always defer to your Mars. If you ever feel, the way to deal with this conflict is, if you ever feel like that Libra energy is pulling you away out towards responsibility or obligations, you always have to have that Libra energy defer to you. Okay, if it was the other way around, where like the ruler of your chart was in that Libra, then you'd have to do that. But you want to actually make sure that whatever obligations or outside, social energy you're accommodating, it's aligned with what you want to do. If Mars is cool with it, then go for it. If not, do what Mars wants first, even if it's not to engage that. Okay. This is controversial advice, but it's definitely going to take back your power, as the Libra energy can represent outside forces and influences, specifically entailing your relationship with authority figures in this life, that can complicate things if you're not on the same page. And because this is 12th house to your Scorpio sun, it's also going to denote clandestine relationships and hidden enemies. So you just want to be very mindful of that. People who may want to people who may see you as a threat in their rise to the top. Pluto in Virgo here trines your Mars. And so this adds an intense analysis of details brought to the light, which are meant to now aid into the intensity of the action. So like Pluto in the 9th is going to show you very critically the details, if we think of it as a X-ray vision or a microscope, so that the power you take in Capricorn is analyzed more efficiently and you're taking the proper direction. It kind of just adds more precision to your action. And that's what leads to the strength in Taurus, which grounds all this power so that it can even be, felt much more strongly. And so seeing that Pluto is on the south node here speaks to the absolvement of karma and destiny, rather, where you're transforming philosophies about reality and teaching people how to do the same, fulfilling your destiny path, which in the 3rd house is you're destined to speak up about what's important. In Pisces, you're destined to speak up about the metaphysical, about divine magic, about anything really you can imagine. Because once we put this in Pisces, applications are infinite. It's not going to be something specific, like if it was in Gemini or Virgo. This is definitely very important, though, because of Pluto. And so the influence and presence of Pluto is very magically going to enable you to tap into multiple different possibilities, all right, a magical destiny in a mutable sign is definitely going to speak of you being able to tap into multiple possibilities, especially now that Neptune is transcending this. It's adding a much more divine element and quality to, as pertaining into the 3rd house, how much you speak about divine experiences that help people believe in the energies and dimensions beyond that we can't see. And that's really every mission of all North Node Pisces, regardless of generation. You're here to take the resources of reality, okay, to really bring up what is factual so that we can now go beyond. Your destiny is to go beyond, pretty much. And so as a Capricorn rising, how can you speak? How can you take every conversation you have so that you can help people go beyond? Even if it's about chewing gum, it doesn't have to be abstract, philosophical all the time. But you're going to see this is the flow that things will take. Ooh. And because Neptune is trining this as well, this is definitely going to speak of this intuitive receptivity to where certain people belong in your life and where you belong in certain communities. Thankfully, with your sun here, you're very aware of this legacy and this Neptunian influence, making you that much more supernatural. As an 11th house sun on the MC, not in the 10th or 9th, this makes your legacy and career one that's meant to really manifest gains from a career direction or legacy, but more so be in a position to manifest wisdom within the community or create a community yourself. Because 11th house suns usually are the source of all the friends that they know. And everyone else and your friends know each other through you. And Neptune is going to blend this in ways that psychically connect individuals through you, which you have the luxury of being aware of. So, in a nutshell, it's very powerful to see that you have this incredible soul quality of strength that pretty much not only makes you invincible, because after you come for Saturn vessel aliens, we're super rare. See, Saturn power aliens have sun on the Saturn, but moon Saturn now literally blends your soul with this energy. And we've seen that with your AC, you pretty much are. You are the Saturnian energy. And why is this important? This is the difference between Saturn just being a force that you call on and guides you to you actually being an aspect of Saturn or blending your energy. So that instead of having to like deal with this individual, you can directly harness and manipulate its energy. It's like right. And not only is that so amazing, after your first Saturn return, you're invincible. You can't even die. You literally can't even die. Now, it speaks more to you being able to control your conditions of death, especially seeing the ruler of your fourth is in the first house, which means you're going to necessarily have all of your personal power at the at the time of your death, and you're not going to be weak. You're not going to be sick. This speaks to really having a lot of life force with this fourth house Aries here. And the ruler, once again, being in the first, you're going to be definitely aware of yourself. We're not going to see any like dementia or sicknesses. It's interesting, though, because I feel like with the 60s generation, your relationship with death itself is going to change. I don't really think some of y'all will even die. Some of y'all might ascend. Actually, let me bring your attention to one of your superpowers, because we've established that you have Neptunian power. And the first thing Neptunian power says, Neptunian power aliens are able to ascend and be mystical, which I mean is just so amazing. Like, yeah, for you to just casually have this energy. But I just once again illustrate this is true. Like, you are invincible. I'm Saturn moon. I survived a fatal car accident that was supposed to kill me with no scratches. And I mean, I really easily could have died before the Saturn return. In fact, I was being targeted, but the dark force has no hold over me, because this allows us to be anointed, because we have a karmic soul service to manifest, and there's nothing that's going to stop us. Period. Not even until we do it. Like, there's nothing that's going to stop us. So, welcome to the Invincible Club. You're coming into a second Saturn return over the next decade. This is only going to make you even that much more strong. And so as we look at the planet rulers, Saturn rules your first. It's in the fifth. And so tapping into your inner child and discipline, you have a very disciplined inner child. You had perhaps a mothering influence that didn't necessarily allow you to play with your emotions. Exalted here is very balanced. So this is someone who nurtured you physically and sensually and really taught you grounded common sense ideals, but was also maybe an authoritarian, which is not a bad thing at all. Hopefully the relationship was very conducive. The ruler of your second house is in the 10th, 9th, 10th. And so as a Capricorn rising, you manifest through your network. As a Taurus rising, I manifest through communication, which is why you paid me as a second house Gemini sun to literally talk to you and tell you the truth. Second house Gemini. Well, you have second house Aquarius, which is the highest level of this. As earth sign risings, we're here to work smart, not hard. We can't work smart. We can work hard, but we must work smarter than we work hard. And you do this naturally. And so the ruler of your second being in the 10th means that a lot of your reputation and a lot of the genius, innovative ideas with which you shape the world around you directly ties into the value you can manifest in your network. The ruler of your third is in the 11th. And so a lot of how you fulfill your destiny obligation of speaking about what's important is influenced by Neptune's receptivity of who to talk to. It's going to lead you to the right people and where you belong to say these things. Ruler of your fourth is in your first, so a lot of your internal private self is very influenced by the actions and passion you harness personally. The ruler of your fifth is in the 10th house, allowing you to develop your creativity through socialization and networking. So the more you put yourself out there, the more this is going to allow you to ground a lot of your talents and express that, and even come into great money, because the fifth house is a house of not only undergraduate education, but self-employment, also children. So your relationship with children will also really bring you out your comfort zone. The ruler of your sixth house is next to Venus in the 10th. And so this is going to be very influenced by this expansive quality of how you get your message out there. All this 10th house Libra energy is expressing with people with Venus in the 10th dress to the twos, because now you're dressing professionally. You're very aware of how the world is going to look at how you dress. I've not seen a Venus in the 10th who doesn't dress like GQ, or like doesn't dress very well, especially Venus in Libra. Venus in Leo is one of the flyest Venuses, because Libra is very much so about vanity and fashion. The ruler of the seventh house is in your fifth, and so your emotional state is very much so influenced by your inner child, and now that's going to influence what you express to other people, extending forth to how you deal with other people. And the eighth, ruled by your sun in Scorpio in the 10th, 11th, allowing the way you deal with people to make sure that you overcome trust issues, because this is definitely going to incorporate deep wisdom into where these people may belong in your life, and based on if you can trust them will really determine how much deeper and intimately you deal with them. Ruler of your ninth, also in the 10th, harnessing an analytical, critical sense of your philosophy based on how you process information out in the world. Remember, once again, your 10th house is like your job title. And so Libra is the agent, the liaison, the artist. Some say love goddess, but I like to say artist. They present the raw nature of an individual's character in Aries through charm, altruism, and classic finesse. And then we see the ruler of your 10th house in the 10th house. It's very significant when you have the significator of a sign in that same sign. This not only adds more power to it, but it's going to speak of very great rewards and blessings. Doesn't mean you won't have challenges, especially given these transits that may make delays, but it's definitely going to, if everyone was going to look in a room, your 10th house is how you're perceived. So people are going to notice you more than other people. This is going to add beautiful opportunities to polish your career, to make more pleasant the work environment and your job, and rewards from your job too. And this is also going to denote that relationships, romantically or platonic, will take on a bit of a professional setting that's social and, well properly put together. And then the ruler of your 11th house is in the 9th house. And so your philosophy, this intense critical philosophy about society and reality, is what shapes your circle of friends and how you subscribe to the communities around you. And then the ruler of your 12th is in your 10th. And so the same professional outlook, or the same professional sphere of your world, directly influences your private spiritual life and your habits. Why is this important? Well, the ruler of your 6th of lifestyle and the ruler of your 12th are both next to each other. And so a lot of socialization and artistic expression is what will constitute your lifestyle publicly and privately. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this report. Thank you so much for your patience. This was very awesome to do. We've definitely established that you have a supernaturally powerful internal sense and locus of control. And so this is going to bring jealousy from people who cannot manipulate you. You're already Scorpio sun, so people are already jealous of you. And this is going to really frustrate dark forces because what we do is we absorb blockages from others, and we also put in check evil energy within others. And so you're always going to be receptive to that part that may be seen or unseen in the air with people who might be frustrated because they can't move you. You are an immovable rock in your soul. And this, once again, makes you one of the strongest people alive. And so, congratulations for possessing such an internal locus of control, because, other people cannot and will not sway you. I hope so, regardless of whether people call you names or whatnot, in the inside, you're the greatest of all time. So you stay blessed as always. Peace.